Hi everybody, welcome to the fourth video that corresponds to the lecture and in-class exercise for April 21st. Alright, so you'll want to listen to these instructions pretty carefully because I'm going to walk you through what I'm looking for today in terms of deliverables. So the first thing you'll want to do is go to the Pop Center website. And I gave you the wrong address last week, my apologies for that, but you should get automatically redirected, at least I did. What you want to do is go to popcenter.asu.edu and that'll bring you here. As I mentioned last week, there's problem-oriented policing guides for just about any topic, so feel free to have a look at the guides and all the different problems that police agencies can really research by visiting this website. But what we're going to do this week is we're going to go up to the Learning Center tab and we'll hover down to the Street Prostitution Learning module and we'll click that. And this module is actually what you're going to be doing today for your in-class exercise. So this is a simulated exercise where you are actually going to conduct problem-oriented policing and follow this SARA model. So just make sure you're reading very carefully as you go because it'll explain everything to you. As they note here, it takes about 1 to 2 hours to successfully complete this. So I was planning for the 2-hour window there because I'm trying to keep my lectures to 45 minutes so that you have a full 2 hours to complete this. All right, so you could click Begin Learning Module once you're ready. And it'll give you some instructions and just a little bit of background information, so just make sure you're reading that. It gives you the background of the scenario, so you'll learn that this is about a prostitution problem. You'll also have a look at an opinion page that someone wrote about the problem, and you'll get a letter from your chief. All right, so when you click Continue, this will bring you to some data, so you'll want to just scan through this, have a look at what's known about the stats, and then finally you'll get to the place where you're actually going to start doing problem-oriented policing. So I already started this, so I've spent 45% of my budget so far. So under each of these tabs are different tasks that you can undertake. Right? So if I go to the Business Owner Interviews tab, I'm presented with a bunch of business owners who I can interview, and it'll cost me, we'll use dollars here, $2 to interview Bill Webster. But you don't want to just randomly pick. You'll want to get an idea of what the problem you're facing is. So you'll probably want to start by looking at reports, having a look at maps, get a basic understanding of what your problem is before you start conducting interviews. As I said, as you consume maps, for example, they're going to cost you $5. So I already clicked maps, so that's reflected in my budget already. But again, this will give you a breakdown of a whole bunch of stuff. So it'll give you where a certain club is located, some other facilities that might be relevant to your analysis. So make sure you're looking at this information and really taking it all in. And so as you conduct your analysis, you should be keeping this information that you uncover, you should keep track of it. And so what they do at the website is they give you this link where there's a critical questions worksheet. And what I'm going to want you to do is answer the questions under each of these. So for police community members, you'll see that there are 5 questions. You can put the answers in here, but what I'm asking you to do today for today's in-class exercise is to not just enter the information here, but also keep track of these questions in a Word document, because you're going to upload the Word document for today's in-class exercise. So again, the in-class exercise today is going to be a Word document where for each of these tabs, police community members, street prostitutes, clients, pimps, and so on, you are going to answer each question under these tabs, but not in the tab. You can do that if you want. You're going to do it in a Word document. So for example, in my Word document I would probably have a heading for police and community members. Under this heading I would have question 1 and I'd write it out, and then I would write my answer in my Word document to that question. 2, in my Word document, answer that question. Once I've done all of these or answered all of these questions for police and community members, I'll then go to street prostitutes. In my Word document, I'll have that as a heading, and then I'll list the questions and answer the questions. Again, I'm not asking you or requiring that you fill it out online. You're more than welcome to. For the in-class exercise, the Word document is what is going to matter. Alright, so once you get to the point where you can answer the questions and you've spent all of your budget, 100% of your budget, what you're going to end up doing is you're going to end up, you are going to end up creating a plan. Right, so again, that'll be at the point where you've spent all of your budget and you're able to answer all these critical questions. What you'll then do is you'll click the link to create my plan. Are you sure your analysis is complete? Are you ready to create your plan? Hopefully you are. You'll click yes. What it does is it takes you to a link for a hypothetical city council meeting, and when you click continue, you'll see that there's a quiz. And so this is going to be your quiz for the day. So I did not have you answer questions that I posed throughout the lectures. Today you're going to answer these questions for your quiz. So there's 10 questions that you'll go through. My quizzes for class are worth 5 points each, which means that here each question is going to be worth a half a point. Once you go through the quiz, you'll end up getting here. Right, so this is at the point you've completed your quiz, you'll get your score. I just clicked through it, so I only got one question right. For your quiz today, what I'm asking that you do is take a screenshot of this and upload it to Blackboard under the quiz tab for today. Right, so again, your quiz is going to be an uploaded screenshot of this here, right? And it's going to tell me what your score was, and I will then use that to calculate your quiz score for today. Right, so that's what I'm looking for with the quiz. And now once you get to this point, you'll have done everything but respond. And so what you'll need to do after this is create your plan. Unfortunately, I'll see if it's still happening. Something's wrong with the website. So you are not able to submit your plan. Hopefully this will be resolved by class tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure if it will be. If it's not, what I'd like you to do is in your Word document that you've created where you answer all of the critical questions, at the end of that, what I would like you to do is to tell me what your plan is going to be. And so this should be based on all the information that you found out, right, through answering those critical questions. So when I read what your plan is to address this prostitution problem, I'm going to see whether you actually followed with responses that made sense given the understanding of the problem that you found. Alright, so like I said, hopefully this link will be back up and you'll be able to continue on with your plan. If not, you'll put it at the end of your Word document that I mentioned just 2 or 3 minutes ago. In terms of what should be included in your plan, I'm going to look for at least 5 responses. And now I'm just going to go back and I'm going to show you how you can kind of get an understanding of what responses you might implement. Alright, so let's say that I am interviewing business owners. I've talked to Bill Webster. You can get the information here about what Bill Webster tells you, but here they also have boxes that they label response revealed, and it gives you some options. And so if you click to show and hide the details, what you'll see is you'll get a bunch of information about whatever tactic. So relax the regulation of indoor prostitution venues. Typically, these are going to show a positive and then also a potential negative as it relates to the particular strategy. So here is where you can look to list what your 5 strategies are going to be. And so in your Word document, I'd like you to, at the end when you're talking about your actual plan, I would like you to number 1 through 5, and each will correspond to a particular part of your plan that you plan on implementing. I'd like you to tell me what that is. So it might be to relax the regulation of indoor prostitution venues. So you would list that as number 1, and then you would in 2 sentences explain to me why you chose this. 2 or 3 sentences, right? Tell me why hopefully it's going to relate to what you learned during the module about the problem. Right, I'm not going to hold you to only those responses that are listed. Again, if you click on another business owner, there'll be more responses here that pop up. So I'm not going to hold you to having to use these. Right? These are just examples, and they're perfectly okay to use because they're based on the POP guide for prostitution. But you could also, if you want, come up with your own. So it doesn't have to be exactly what is listed here. You could come up with your own, and as part of that, I'd also just like you to explain why you chose your own strategy. Right? Why'd you pick it? All right, so that's what I'm going to be looking for creating your plan in the event that the link is still down when we go to when we get to this point tomorrow. So we'll just have to see if that link is up. If it's not, you can just create your plan as I just mentioned by including it in your Word document. All right, so this is what I'm looking for you to do. Hopefully it's pretty straightforward. Once you get into it and you start actually reading about it, it kind of makes sense. If you're struggling, feel free to go back to the lectures and have a look about or listen to what problem-oriented policing is about. There's also links here where you can read more about the SARA model if you get to a point where you're unsure about how you should use it for problem-oriented policing. And there's also a link for the problem analysis triangle. Right, so that gives you, again, some information about that SARA model. All right, so if you've got questions, I've got a link for the discussion board up on Blackboard. There's a link to upload this week's quiz on Blackboard. There's a link to upload this week's in-class exercise, which will be that Word document that I mentioned. And so we're ready to go. So good luck. I look forward to seeing your responses, and I will see you in another lecture.